Welcome to KM Global. KM Global is an innovative charter school in the Kettle Moraine School District that is open for enrollment to students in grades 9 through 12. KM Global prepares students for the world of higher education and the world of work. They're self-directed learners who work closely with teams of other students as well as a learning coach. They build strong relationships, critical thinking, and independent learning skills. The field experiences that our students engage in give them perspectives from practitioners and experts in the field that will help them to be successful in whatever areas they choose. KM Global is built on 4 primary pillars: a global perspective, leadership, field experience, and interconnected academic standards. KM Global is built on a global perspective. We know that our students require the dispositions to communicate and collaborate in a global economy and a global world.
Well, everyone talks about the world is becoming more global. Tom Friedman's book triggered a conversation about the flat world. This is a flat world, meaning that we cannot think of local economies in isolation anymore. So the original impetus for global and international education actually comes from an economic argument that we need to be competitive in the world. That means that our schools need to teach kids science and mathematics. But it also means, again, that our kids need to learn to think critically, to learn to work with people from other countries. We will be engaged, and our students will be engaged with people from all over the world. That requires learning other languages, not just for the reason of basic communication, but it requires learning other languages because language carries culture. There are different modes of thinking, of behavior that manifest themselves in language.
KM Global is built on leadership. Students require the leadership capacity to lead us into the 22nd century.
Business has changed the way it defines leadership. Leadership is no longer that top-down command and control sort of thing. If that ever worked, it doesn't work now. The new generation of people in the workforce simply don't tolerate that. You lead by showing that you are willing to make the team better. Everyone works in teams. Everyone works together as part of a group. And if you are building that team and if you are helping that team to be successful, you are more likely to be credible as a leader.
KM Global is built on field experience. We want our students to experience the world through the work of practitioners in the field, to work alongside experts in business, in industry, in government, and in nonprofit organizations.
The importance cannot be overstated now. First of all, we talked a lot about how do you have to be aware of these cultural differences to have an effective teamwork if you are part of a global team. But that also applies to the fieldwork that you're doing, because very often, as a result of this fieldwork, we introduce new products and services that are used worldwide. And it is extremely critical before you design something to understand the environment in which and the users which will be using your products and services. And that includes also understanding the cultural differences of those environments where those products and services are going to be used. To make sure that when designed, they fully address the needs of these type of populations.
KM Global is built on a strong academic foundation. Students build portfolios that address standards in science, math, social studies, English, and world languages. They work with academic content specialists and a learning coach to ensure that they have a solid foundation in these core content areas.
In a regular high school, we usually sign up for classes. Simple as that. And in those classes, we learn. We gather knowledge. At KM Global, we don't necessarily sign up for classes. We sign up, if you will, to a project or to a problem, and we investigate that problem fully and integrate all of what we would call subject matter as we are solving these problems. So how do I know that my student really is learning something? Well, we have this alignment to the standards. And by the standards, I mean these are national standards, state standards, industrial and professional standards that we use as criteria. That's another transformational element of KM Global, is that all of the demonstrations of knowledge are relevant and they are what I would call actual doing. It's sort of like taking this very common phrase, lifelong learner, and really putting meaning behind it. So how do you create a lifelong learner? You create lifelong learners by igniting their passion to learn.
I think that one of the main things I'll be able to present to colleges is that I've worked extremely hard to get where I am, that this isn't an easy thing that I'm doing, that KM Global is about truly discovering who you are in the world and how you can contribute to the global community. I've experienced more than the average high school student. I've been in the field that I want to work in. I've met people who are doing things that I hope to do one day, that I have discovered more and I guess taken more responsibility to direct my future.
We're so excited to offer KM Global to students in grades 9 through 12. We would invite you to visit our website for more information. Visit kmglobalcharter.com for a sample student day, for sample curriculum, for sample portfolio information, as well as how you might enroll in KM Global. On our website, you will also find more information about the instructional model of KM Global, about the portfolio development, and more about our students and staff.